So here's what that looks like. Slides into, comes all the way down here. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I know it's been just a little bit. If you see behind me, I've got a carport. I think it's a 15 by 30 carport with 11-foot sides on it, and I have my big camper under that. I've been wanting to put an addition onto it. I've been wanting to put a lean-to on the side so I can store other things out of the weather. The company that built this thing, I called them up and I said, hey, I want to put like a 12 by 30 lean-to on there. What would you charge me? He wanted like $4,100, and all it is a few poles and some tin. No way in heck I'm going to pay $4,100 for that. So I started doing a little research, and I found some brackets, some galvanized metal brackets on Amazon that I can use with chain link fence post, chain link top rails and chain link fence post. I think I'm going to frame up a pretty darn cool looking lean-to on this thing. Now, I'm not telling you to do this yourself. I'm sure everybody's got different building codes wherever they live. I don't know if this is going to meet building codes around or not. I know it's going to meet my code. It's going to be good enough for me. So I'm going to tell you not to do it, but I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. The entertainment purposes only. I don't want to scar up the camper shell, so I just put some straps around it. Then I'm going to pull the straps with the chain. All right, so I'm going to show you the materials I'm using along the way. And again, I'll put descriptions to that where you can get that. Some of this stuff I got from Amazon. I think I got a little bit of it from eBay, a normal eBay seller. And then I got some things from, you can get it from like Lowe's or Home Depot. Pretty accessible though is what I'm trying to say. And you're not going to have to do a lot of searching for it. The basis of it is I'm going to be using the post of chain link fence for these vertical legs here. And I'm going to be using chain link fence top rail for the rafters. Now, I know they're a lot smaller in diameter than what come on the carport to begin with, but I've got a really cool way I'm going to brace this dude up. You'll have to stick around for a little while to see what I'm going to do on that. It's going to be pretty darn clever. I think you'll like it. But let me show you some of the stuff I've got. I've got a variety of chain link top rails, and that's what these pipes are here. They are tapered on one end, or I suppose you could fit that end into another top rail, but I'm just going to cut about 3 1/4 inches off, get rid of that. And then I have the heavier legs, and you don't have to cut those unless you just want to cut them to length. But yeah, that's what's going to be the body of this carport. All right, I've just got this lawnmower stored here for the season, but what you can see here are these galvanized brackets. I bought these as a set off Amazon. They're pretty darn heavy duty. They're welded up. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the quality of them, as far as the way they look anyway. But basically, you can either slide the top rail of a chain link fence post inside the fitting, or you can slide the post itself from chain link fence over the fitting. So some of the pipes go into the bracket, some of the pipes go outside. So my biggest challenge was, if I put a frame on this thing, how am I going to tie it into the existing structure? Well, if you look right here, I found some brackets that are used to mount an antenna on an antenna mast. And these are some pretty darn heavy duty brackets. They're, I'm not sure if they're stainless or if they're galvanized. Kind of look like stainless. But anyway, these are some pretty heavy brackets, and they're adjustable. So I can adjust it to where it fits on that 2 1/4, 2 1/2 inch leg on the existing carport. Then the other side, I can adjust to that bracket that I'm going to be using with the the fence parts. we got Joanne holding up this corner post. Now again, this is actually an 8-foot post for a chain link fence. We've cut it down. It goes over top of this bracket. This bracket slides down in there, and I'll be fastening it with some screws. The top rail will go inside this bracket. And I also bought some feet, which I may end up cutting a piece of composite decking board and putting under that to keep it off the ground. But Joanne, slide this post up a little bit so you can see it slides down over that. All right, I'm going to slide this top rail into that bracket Joanne's holding. Yeah. And push it forward. There you go. And I'm going to slide it into this. There we go. So I'll be putting a couple screws, one here and one here, just to hold this dude together. That is an antenna mast bracket. Those are corner brackets that your top rail slides into. Comes all the way down here, slides into this corner bracket, and then the chain link fence post slides over it, down to the ground. This is pretty darn slick, if I do say so myself. All right, so here's one of the antenna mast brackets. It's basically 4 plates that have teeth on them with some long screws that are inside here. And these are adjustable for various sizes of poles. So this was a perfect installation to put a smaller diameter post on a larger diameter post. All right, y'all, we got the first section up. And when I mean section, we've got the first 2 legs up on the outside. And we have the first 2 main rafters up. Now, when I say main rafters, that rafter is bolted to the carport, and that rafter there is bolted to a carport. Well, actually, the rafter that's here in the middle that you don't see is going to be bolted to the carport as well. But I have a different bracket that will be attached it to the middle of this post. That's why I don't have it up yet. You'll see that in a bit. But the first section is up, and I'll have to say it is working exactly the way I wanted it to. So I was just going to go ahead and do the perimeter frame all the way down, but you know what? I think I'll go ahead and put a couple corner brackets up there, and maybe that middle rafter to show you what that's going to look like. It's going to be pretty slick. All right, so what I just did is I cut a corner brace, and I used the top rail stock, not the post stock, but the top rail stock. Now here's where this thing gets super cool. I'm going to take credit for being the inventor of this design. It's probably been done a million times, but I've never heard of it. If you ever see a chain link fence, you'll notice that there's some barbed wire at the top of it. Well, what they do, they use this little cap. This little cap slides down over a piece of the tubing, and there's a bar that bolts to this little eyelet, comes up on like maybe a 15-degree angle, about that high. And then there's barbed wire that goes in little slots on that bar. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a cap on each end of this thing, and I'm going to use that to bolt it to the frame to make corner brackets with. I've got this, I've got these little clamps. These are fence tensioners for chain link fence. I'll put this on the rafter or one of the posts. I'll slide this little eyelet up inside of it, bolt it together, and then I've got a diagonal support. Now, since I'm going to be putting a corner bracket between a larger diameter post and a smaller diameter top rail, I had to get 2 different sizes of chain link fence tensioner. So the large one obviously will go on here. They're pretty stiff. There we go. And then the bolt will go through it. And then the small one goes in the top rail, and I'll bolt the cross piece between the 2. So you buy these little, I guess they're galvanized bolts. It goes, there we go, that's right, I want it, goes through there. Now these are pretty tight to press together, but they will press. And then the nut goes on the back of it. So come over here and shoot down on that. So here's what that looks like. And then I'll just snug this dude up. Here closer to where it's going to be, and then I'll do a little bit more of a snug on it whenever I put the post in it. go. There we go. There we go. Look at that. I know, I sound like Bob Ross. Okay, so there's one corner bracket bolted in place to give it some structural integrity and to help, and really it'll help keep that top rail, or that rafter there, from sagging. Because I'll have, you know, a couple foot of it supported on this end, and I'll have a couple foot of it supported on that end. Now, these are chain tensioners for a chain link fence. So they don't actually fit on the post terribly tight. So I may want to actually wrap something around the post before I put these on there, just to make sure that they cinch down super tight. But this is going to work. And just to make sure the carport doesn't blow away, I'm putting in a couple of auger anchors. So I wrapped a braided wire around the leg and secured it in place with a self-tapping screw. And just in case you're wondering, that's the wind generator I did a review on a couple years ago. Dude, is still running fantastic. It literally started on the first pull. I love it. So here's the frame fully erected, and unlike the rafters that go into the T-brackets, the mid rafters go into a end bracket. Again, readily available at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And taking a walk down the middle, you'll see I put one center beam, and I put that in place with some 4-way connectors. Again, readily available. Worked really good. And here's how they go on the middle rafter before the center beam is installed on each side of it. I'll have to say the frame turned out really well. Alright, so I originally got cheap. I didn't want to spend the money on the tin. I thought, you know, what can I do in the meantime? The idea came to me, let's just put a tarp up instead. So I got home from work one evening and managed to get a tarp on by dark. I just put it on with these bungee cords, and at first glance I thought, hey, this is going to work really great. But as you can see, I ended up buying the tin. The first good wind that came along, it blew the tarp into shreds, and there was absolutely nothing left. So I ended up going with tin. I found a local seller that had a really good price on a brown color that was fairly close to the other part of the carport, and I went with that. So knowing that I couldn't get to the drip edge if I put the tin up first, I went ahead and installed the drip edge along the side of the carport. And there are plenty of videos showing how to install tin on YouTube, so I won't show you that. Now the bad thing about putting tin over such a small pipe is that if you're not just dead on the middle of the pipe, that screw will try to run off to the side and make a hole in your tin. So now I'm going to have to patch that hole. And a carport from Chain Link Fence Parts is born. All right, so the question that's on everybody's mind is, am I happy with it? And how's it holding up? Well, it's been, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months now since I put the thing together, maybe longer than that. And it's doing great. I could not be happier with it. Now, I know that it may not be meet a building code wherever you are. may not even meet one here, but I'm happy that I built it like I did. It's held up to 3 or 4 really strong storms, probably some of the stronger storms that we've had in the last few years. As a matter of fact, you can see we just had a storm a few minutes ago, knocked another branch out, put a couple up on the roof, and I think there's power out in about 1,500 homes around the county right now. So I could not be happier. If I had it to do over again, the only thing I would change is I probably would have went ahead and put the 1x4 furring strips on there to put the tin down on. That way it would have been easier to hit with the screw. You know, trying to hit those little posts for the rafters, I actually did roll off a couple of the posts and it punched a hole in the tin that I had to plug. Other than that though, the building technique using chain link fence parts worked great, absolutely great. I was in the thing a lot less money and I'm very happy with it. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it's been a little while since we've talked, and until next time, take care. We'll see you on the road.